different tonight. I'm going to put the agenda up.
Meeting is being recorded.
Okay, here's our agenda for tonight. I usually don't write this down because I'm usually at the meeting, but since we're doing it like this, and it's a little bit different. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first thing we need to do is approve the minutes from last month. Has everybody read the minutes? Does anybody have any changes, corrections, additions, or complaints about the minutes? If not, I'll ask for a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Yeah, anybody second it?
Second.
Okay, all, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any, just for the record, any opposed? Is that an aye or you opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that's an aye. Okay, good, thank you. Came in late, I was quite wondering. Okay, so we got the minutes approved. Since most of the members are on Zoom, I'm not gonna go ahead and do introductions, but I'll ask Bruce and the people who are over at the church to just say who they are so we can all tell who's attending from the church.
Mike King-Clark.
Win W4WIM.
Bruce W4BRU. Giles KN4MSQ.
Okay, thank you all. All right, Ken, can we have a financial report?
Sure. We started the month out with $18,848.44. We had $42 in dues come in. We had $50 worth of classes. $40 came in for books, and we had a donation of $34. The expenses, we bought $224.75 worth of books. And we had to buy some ink for me for $82.14. So we spent $306.89 and we only took in $166. The extra books were because we bought new books for the 3 tech instructors. That made it look sort of lopsided, and there is more money coming in next month from PayPal. We ended up the month with $18,707.55.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. I'll talk to you about my copy of the book too. I may go ahead and just send you a check for that. Do we have any new members tonight?
We have 3 new members. Ken Edwards, who's a tech, K04YAQ. Randall Lynch, who's a tech, K04VDA. And we have Felix. And I gotta see if I can.
Hi, Katie. Nice to meet you, Sean.
Rono. He's an extra, K4STI. Those are the 3 members.
Okay. Can I have a motion from somebody to go ahead and accept these members?
Aye.
Give a motion.
Anybody second?
A second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the new members?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so Ken, notify them they are accepted.
I will do so.
There was a
Okay.
message in the chat
Uh,
regarding a new member as well.
Z Smith, I do not have any paperwork or money from you.
Oh,
Did you send anything in yet?
what are you saying?
You said, what about you? So you're saying you wanted to be a new member? And I just said I didn't get any membership application or any money from you.
Oh, I'm just joining this meeting.
Oh, you're free to be a guest tonight. And if you want to join the meeting, then there's a membership form out on the website, and
Oh, sorry about that.
It's $20. If you pay by check, or it's actually $22 PayPal, and then we give you a discount if you pay by check for $20.
Let me ask Mr. Smith, are you a ham operator yet? We'll take you whether you're a ham operator or not, but whether you have a license or not, but we're just wondering if you had a license. No.
Don't think he's hearing you.
What?
He went on Zoom, he went on mute.
Okay. All right, we'll get back to that. All right, we got old business next. The first thing, we should normally get an ARIS report tonight, but Bruce is going to give us a presentation tonight about the whole ARIS exercise that was done. So we'll talk about that in Bruce's report. Let's see, the test session. I need is Alan here tonight? Alan Johnston?
Don,
Yeah. Yeah,
me,
Joey.
Joey. He said he
Hey,
might
Joey,
have trouble
are we having
logging in.
Okay, are we having a test session tomorrow?
Yes,
Or you're going to
at
cancel because of the
12
snow?
o'clock noon at the library in Bon Air. Rain, sleet, snow, sunshine, whatever.
Okay, I'll try to
We
be there
have
with
about
you all.
8 people signed up.
Okay, I told Alan I'll be there tomorrow if I can possibly drive there. If the weather's not
All right.
bad.
That's fine.
So I'll see y'all
All
there.
right. Thank you, John.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sure. All right, report on the remote. I know they've been having some problems with the remote station. Bruce, do you want to talk about that, or is that something we need to bring to the members?
Oh, we suddenly began having problems with it, but I've worked out with John Dunn, who uses it every morning on 20 meters. And he's gonna let me know whenever it goes. I'm gonna check it as well. We had several months with no problems, and then we're having problems again. We're hoping with John telling us what's going on each morning and me getting on occasionally, we can figure out some sort of a pattern. It seems to kind of come and go, and it drives me and probably everybody else up the wall. But anyway, so when it runs beautifully. I mean, it's a good station. Just we can't figure out why all of a sudden it locks from transmit, and then we have to wait to bring it back out again. So can't figure out why that's going on. But it's intermittent.
Keep us posted if y'all find out what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what about the you want to give us a report on the school while you're up on the floor?
Yeah, we got 30 students. We got 4 in extra. I think there's 4 or 5 in general, Ken. And then a bunch, and we got a bunch and we have a total of about 30 students, and we have 2 seminars that we're going to run. So, and some of the students are, the Zoom far away. We've got one from, I think it's called Montpellier.
Bruce, stand by a minute. Stand by a minute. Whoever's got the mic open with background noise, can you please mute yourself, because it's interfering with Bruce's report. Go ahead, Bruce.
I said there's one, I think, France, Montpellier, and I think it's one from Scotland, a place called Midlothian.
We got one, I know, from Florida in our group, so we get them from all over the place.
Play with that, me. Anyway, we got a good turnout for the school. That's a good operation. So.
Okay, great.
All
right.
Instructor who is kind of understudying the folks in tech, and that's Lauren Ware.
Yeah, Lauren's joined us, and this so far it worked out well the other night. We're glad to have her aboard. So, thank you. Okay, any other old business? Then let's move on to new business. I'd like to ask Wynn to come forward, and Bruce also. We have something that some business we need to take care of with Bruce.
I'm here to present on behalf of the board and the club, an award to Bruce McAllister. Let me see if I can get it a little closer so you can see some of it there. I'll read it to you. Looks like it's backwards the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
but,
it always looks backwards.
Sorry. So this says to Bruce McAllister, congratulations on a job well done in coordinating the ARIS contacts with students at Carter G. Woodson Middle School in Virginia, February 2022, from the board and members of the Woodson Amateur Radio Club. I think most of you know about this. Bruce has been working on this for literally years, and it was an incredible success. I watched the video of it recently, and it really does a great thing for amateur radio, for the club, and most of all, maybe we'll get some new hands out of this, and maybe some. So Bruce, on behalf of the club, great job. Thank you so much. And
All right, let's get it back down here where we can see.
Okay. Job well done, Bruce. I'm sure the club, everybody in the club appreciates what you were able to do there. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the Virginia QSO party. We've been asked to, for those of you who haven't already heard about it, we've been asked to partner with RATS on the Virginia, a session of the Virginia QSO party that's going to run from 12 noon to 5 p.m. On the Saturday. I think it's, I believe it's the 19th. Anyway, the Saturday of the, it'll be not tomorrow, but the following Saturday. They asked us to, if we could provide them a place to do this, and we were successful between the help of Tom Flippin and the Lady Kathy, who's our contact with the church over there in Bon Air. They're going to allow us to use the auditorium where Bruce and everybody is tonight down there from 12 to 5 Saturday. We'll be bringing our own, RATS is going to provide equipment, and I have some equipment I'm going to provide. I've been working with Jim Bates on this, and we'll have antennas in the parking lot and radios in the club, but we also, it's going to be an opportunity for members of both groups to get together, have eyeball QSOs. There's going to be food provided, refreshments. So it'll be a great time if anybody wants to come out. We hope everybody, a lot of people will come out and join it. I do need to talk to the board. We have an offer to provide, to have somebody actually, Bill is going to take care of getting the food for the session. They've asked,
That's Judy did that.
Yeah, oh, Judy, okay, credit.
Judy's ordering it, I'm paying for it.
Okay, well, what we're gonna need to do though, RATS has asked us to split the cost with them to reimburse Bill. We're expecting the cost to be $200, so RARC's share of it would be $100, and I'll be sending out a message to the board members to get that approved. But I think that it'll be a good opportunity for everybody to get together, make some contacts, and get some good food and some eyeball QSO time. So that's where that stands. There'll be more reports coming out. It's really one of the guys at RATS is actually heading the thing up and putting it together, and we're just doing what we can do to help them. So that's where that stands. If you will, everybody mark your calendars if you would like to come down and have some fun with us. Let's see. What's that?
Can I
ahead.
just say something?
Sure,
And
Judy,
if
say something.
it's cheaper, we're gonna pass that along and everything. The only thing is that, like, I have a hard answer for the sandwiches, and those are for people that sign up online at the rats.net website. But the thing of it is that hopefully everybody will sign up online. But we have a hard number for the sandwiches, but we don't have a hard number. I got to pick up water and chips, little chip bags, and I don't know how much that's going to be. So that's why it's up in question. So if there's any
Okay,
savings,
Judy,
I'm definitely splitting everything in half and pass it on.
Okay, Judy, can RARC members sign up on RATS's website for that?
Oh, yeah, anybody can go to the website and
It's
go
open
to
to the
the
public.
event and then sign up for it. You don't have to be a member of RATS.
Okay, we'll probably have to put out an announcement too, because I don't know, you know, people who
We've
aren't
been
attending the meeting.
announcing it on each of the nets that we're doing
But an
and,
email won't hurt.
and an email would not hurt.
Yeah, we'll probably go ahead and send out a general email too, just to let everybody know what they need to sign up.
Yeah.
So, because I wasn't even aware of the sign up thing, so
How
we'll
about
take
that,
care of that.
Metro Center or whatever, where you buy your computers? Would they have it? Mac? They wouldn't. Okay.
Is that somebody asking to speak? I think somebody's got an open microphone.
I think that's Patrick Bolin.
Okay, Patrick, if that's you, can you mute so that,
You'd have to look online and see if they, not big. Right. True.
I think he's on the phone.
Yeah, you'd have to look online or order it offline.
You can mute him, John. You're the host, so.
yeah, I realized that I just did it. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. The next item of business would be, the new ham boot camp. Bruce, do you have anything on that you want to talk about?
So me,
I can tell you, we have the Richmond Railroad Museum reserved for the 30th of April. I can tell that's my part of the report. That's all been taken care of. So Bruce?
we're gonna call it the Ham's Workshop. We kind of got a list of topics. I haven't got everything yet. So
Wait a minute, I got another open microphone. Let me see if I can mute him.
And so I'll be going around with some of my buddies here, kind of twisting your arms really hard to come to it. But we got a set of topics like, this is for new hams. It's, antennas, putting together, how you set them up, how you do coax, all that sort of thing. See if we can help get them going. So I got to put that up on the reservation list for the club. I just am still landing from Eris and then getting the school started. So I got it in my calendar to do next week.
Okay, great. Well, I know you're working on it. I just wanted to try to get the, is there anything that the members can do at this point to help out, or you just want to postpone that till you get all your stuff together?
We kind of got agreement on the topics. We just need to get the volunteers. You know how it is, you have to kind of squeeze some arms here and there, so.
Right. Is the list of what's going to happen? Should we put out a request for volunteers some kind of way?
Yes, but that doesn't work in Virginia. You have to go around asking people individually, so,
Okay, all right. Well, you got my,
New York.
you got my volunteer. Okay, all right then. Anything else on that?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for everything you're doing, Bruce. I know you're doing a lot of projects for us there. Do we have any other new business today? Oh, go ahead.
I would like to volunteer KO4 RNT. David.
Okay, David, great. Bruce, you got that?
Nope. Send a note to w4bru@arrl.net. And then I'll have it nailed.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, David. All right, any other new business for tonight?
John,
Okay, then in that, yes,
excuse me, this is Robin. I wonder if someone
Robin.
could someone send out a note soliciting volunteers? And then we can respond to that note. And then as Bruce
Yeah.
suggests, if we need to twist arms, that can be the next step.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, the thing, it's gonna take Bruce letting us know what he wants, what he intends to put in the thing to see if people, can do one of the programs in session in the thing, so.
Bruce,
We'll discuss that.
hey, Bruce,
What's-
send me an email about what you want and I'll get it out to the members.
Okay.
All right, that'll work. That's good. Thanks, Ken.
Bruce,
All right, so Anybody else have anything for the business meeting? Anybody have any show and tell tonight? No show and tells? Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I have a tell. So I've been working at the encouragement of Steve and Armand and other people and John to working with the Long Island CW Club. And if you haven't been over there, these guys are on fire. They have classes almost every hour of every day. I think they stop for lunch. But I mean every day, like Sunday, every day up until 10, 11 p.m. They have tortoise sending practice. They have, the first 20 characters, the second 20 characters for beginners. And even though I kind of already know all the characters, I just started all over from scratch. And it's just really so much fun. You have guys from Italy in there and Czechoslovakia, all over the place. I mean, it's just if they want to stay up that late, and they also have other groups that are doing it locally all over the world. So it's just a huge thing. Lots of fun. They have things like, you have to supply a joke and then you have to send it by code. And, everybody has to get the joke. Anyway, it's just really a lot of fun. So, if you got $30 for an entire year of mayhem and fun. So I'm having a good time with that, and my code's getting much better. So
So where
anyway,
do we go, Rob, to find out more information?
It's called Long Island CW Club, and it's at Groups.io. It's Long Island CW Club .net or no .org. I think I should just find it and post it here. I'll get the link here and post it up in the chat. That'll be the best thing to do. But just super, super guys. Today they had a lecture by someone just about, how the people get above 40, 50 words per minute in code and tips and tricks for QSOs. They have things where you kind of like fake going on the air and they critique your etiquette and tell you, well, that's fine, but you shouldn't really do this or that. And they just kind of shepherd you through doing a real QSO until you're actually ready to turn on the transmitter and go for it. So it's just it's a big group of shepherds. I think there are more shepherds than there are sheep, actually. I don't know how they do it. But anyway, I'm having a great time with it. I'll put the link up in the chat there if you're interested.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm answering a message here. Excuse me. Okay, back to the meeting. All right, so again, if we have no other business, no other reports for tonight, then I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn the business meeting so we can get to the program for tonight.
Motion to adjourn and for WLC.
Second, and for
Thank you.
JDI.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned, and tonight's
Aye.
program, thank you. Tonight's program is going to be a report from Bruce McAllister on the stuff that was done with the International Space Station program, and I'll turn the program over to him at this point.
I need to get myself a comfy chair here. I'm going to show you this with a video and everything. And I need to get my eyeballs on so I can see what I'm doing. So slight pause here while I bring this up. I love the way with these people on Zoom, they're always going forward to their machine to get things cranked up.
With a slight pause, I hope no animals were hurt in this process.
Well, I'm sure we've killed a few electrons. All right, so in theory here, one thing I never have figured out how to do is how to start a PowerPoint thing.
Testing.
All right, so let's try shared here. Oh, here it is. Oh, come on, machine. Doesn't look like it wants to work, does it? I've always got a backup. Sometimes when the slides don't want to work, a PDF works like a charm. All right, I'm going to try this again. We will, as they say, take another whack at it. Okay, so I'll show you a video of just a little bit of the video of the gathering, and we'll kind of a little bit of how we got started, some of the stuff involved. What they did, which I thought was really sweet, was the teachers and the kids got together and made these little etched plaques for those of us in attendance. So I thought that was really nice of them. So I'll start off by showing you the video. Hopefully it works. If any of you want to look at it, it's on the RARC club website. It's 30 minutes long, but a lot of it is boring, waiting for all this NASA stuff to start. I mean, they gave us a script that started off with T minus 45 minutes. I felt like we were going to be doing launching a spaceship and not doing a conversation with an astronaut. But anyway, about 13 minutes in, you got the first of the talk from the school. Then about 28 minutes to actually have the contact start. So let me start it up. There we go. You're just a little slow here, I guess. Combination of showing all of your pictures plus trying to show a video looks like it's so for the last couple of years, they've been doing all of this, all of these contacts with the kids kind of sequestered at home using Zoom. So this was one of the first ones they'd done kind of live, and they were using a combination of Zoom and live all at the same time. It was a strange sort of thing, and there were some little glitches here and there.
Bruce, we're not seeing the video.
Oh, that's a shame.
Might have to minimize your slideshow.
Let me see if I can get back out of here again. It's tricky, I guess, when you got two of them running at the same time. All right.
Do you want to run the whole, you want to run the whole thing or just part of it?
No, I'm not going to run the whole thing. I just want to show them a couple pieces of it.
Okay, I was gonna say I could probably run it from here, but you go ahead.
Okay, can you see this? No.
Your screen's not shared right now.
All right, let me try it again.
Okay, now we're seeing your screen.
So they do a live stream of this thing. Now I need to make sure that you can hear the sound.
Get started. Very good morning. My name is Ryan, W4
So we can hear it.
Okay.
your ARIS moderator for today.
Hey, Bill.
Amateur radio volunteers.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Judy.
Space Station. We soon hope to establish radio contact on the International Space Station as it flies more than 250 miles above the Earth.
So this is the moderator, a guy named Ryan. He does these a fair bit, does the announcements. They show some of these videos which we showed the kids, and that sort of thing. I'm gonna take you out to where it gets a little bit more interesting. There is, by the way, what's better is this discussion by Tim Peake.
One of the most rewarding activities.
One of the astronauts up there, which the kids see all of this as an introduction. By the way, we had.
Now these are events that are planned
How many
by
kids did you
RARC,
say we had
which is a
there,
worldwide group of
Huh?
amateur radio volunteers.
Well, we had 10 kids asking
dedicated
questions.
to
We must have had
introducing
30 or
young
40,
people
maybe more than
and
that in the
students
room.
to
We had some
science,
parents, we had a member of the
engineering,
press.
and mathematics.
We had
Now, this is
school
the
board
equipment in the
members,
Columbus Laboratory, which
superintendent,
consists of a
all that sort of
handheld
thing.
radio.
So you get all this introduction to ham radio, which
And
is
we
kind of
also
useful.
have a ham video unit.
And by the way, I learned by watching this Tim Peake one that if any of you are interested in messing with the space station, they apparently turn this transceiver into a repeater. So you can actually see how you're tracking the space station and do some contacts through the space station when they're not having one of these things with the students.
Before losing the signal.
All right, so
before the scheduled start time of the contact.
as you can see in this next thing, they kind of set it up with Facebook. So here's your moderator talking here. This is the classroom, looking from the back of the classroom, and this is the stage with the kids. That's the principal going up there.
Good morning. We are so honored to have you here with us today for this super exciting learning experience for our sixth graders here at Carter G. Woodson. It's hard to believe that just in a few minutes we'll be speaking to an astronaut that's at the International Space Station.
So here's the teacher and the kids. You see it in a second.
Learning about sound waves, how sound waves travel. We can't see the sound waves, but they are necessary for how sound gets transmitted and received. So we learned different parts of a sound wave. Students got to use cups and string to model how sound actually travels. After that, they were able to use handheld
So she summarized what we did. She taught a bunch of stuff too, like orbital mechanics, that sort of thing. And then here's the ground station. We used a ground station in Silver Springs, Maryland. It's actually at the NASA, one of the NASA sites, and up on the roof they have a set of antennas. And we were hooked up over a telephone network with effectively what we call a phone patch. And it was I would say, messy phone patch, wouldn't you, Mike? It was a real pain in the butt to use. I don't think we need to use phone patch. If they're gonna do the stuff with Facebook, I think we could do the whole thing with Facebook. No need to do
Ken
that.
at Kilo 6 Delta Uniform Echo. Before the contact begins, can you please
N3FZX, Bob McCown, call sign N3IYI, and Dave Taylor, W8AAS, as the volunteer operators of the station. On the roof is a directional antenna high above the ground that will be pointed at the ISS as it passes directly over our location.
Okay, let's skip forward to the fun part, which is where they try to make the contact.
Contact. How do you copy? Over. NA1SS, NA1SS. Here is K6DUE for scheduled school contact. How copy? Over.
K6DUE, this is NA1SS. How do you read?
We hear you 5 by 5. Very good. We're ready to begin with the first school question. School, go ahead. Over.
This is Imani. What made you want to live in space? Over.
Handling of glitches.
K6DUE, this is NA1SS. Read you loud and clear. Ready for the first question.
This is K6DUE. We copy you loud and clear as well. School, can you start that first question again? Over.
This is Imani. What made you want to live in space? Over.
I was always fascinated with science and technology. I had a sense of adventure. I was very curious. Wanted to see what the Earth looked like from space and what it would be like to live in zero G. How copy? Over.
This is Troy. How do you not run out of food and where does it come from? Over.
There are scientists and cooks around the world at various space centers that prepare food for us, dehydrated and safe food for us to eat. They pack it in rockets that launch from several places around the world, and we get plenty of great food up here. Over.
This is Serenity. Have any animals ever been on board the ISS? Over.
Yes, we have 13 mice with us right now. There have been insects, lots of cellular organisms that have come up with us as well. Over.
This is Matthew. How do you return to Earth? Over.
We return in the same spaceship that we launched on. We launched on a Dragon. It is SpaceX Dragon. It is docked to the space station, ready to take us home, either in an emergency or when it's time to come home in a couple months. Over.
This is Anaje. What meals do you eat in space? Over.
Eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we have plenty of food for snacks in between if we'd like it. Over.
This is Ayana speaking for Brian. What is your helmet made of and how does it work? Over.
Well, the helmet is made of a very durable plastic. It has to do several things. It has to protect us from the vacuum. It has to allow us to see outside through a visor, so part of it has to be transparent. And it keeps airflow around our head to get rid of carbon dioxide. Over.
This is Dominic. How many miles does the ISS travel in a day? Over.
So, Dominic, I'm going to ask you and your classmates to calculate that. You need to get the radius of the Earth plus 250 miles, and the ISS travels 16 orbits in a day. So, it's that.
So that was the one that was fun. I don't know whether you saw the kid, but instead of giving the answer, he gave him the calculations to make, and said the kids have to make the calculations, and it's kind of like, oh boy, he did that to us. So that was great fun. Anyway, you can look at this anytime you want to. I just wanted you to see a bit of what it looked like. Don't think there's anything else of great interest. They went through it. They asked a total of 20 questions, and they had, what's not visible here is we had, you and I did 2 rehearsals with them. They did a third one on their own. So we kept going pretty well. Okay, so let me get this back up. Oh, it's already up.
Bruce, how long did the space station signal hold up in a
It
passage?
runs about 10 minutes, right? They go from horizon to horizon, runs about 10 minutes. And I guess that's about about you ran, wasn't it, Mike? So just about that. Got through all the questions and actually had a little extra time. So that part worked out well. So. And we wanted, well, I'll tell you more about that. This is kind of how we started. Alexandra, or Alex, is a brand new teacher. That first year was 2021, teaching science to 6th grade, and she wanted to find something that gave them a little bit of incentive and interest and that sort of thing. So she had gone to a conference and seen about this ARISS thing, where they could talk to a astronaut on the space station. He thought, well, that'd be a real incentive for him. So she checked on it further and got contacted them. They said, well, you got to have a space station. You got to have a licensed ham, or one or more involved. So apparently, she just looked up Ham Radio Richmond on the website and found Richmond Amateur Radio Club and looked at we're kind of the teaching club, so we had us down as instructors, and found my name, gave me a call, and that was kind of how we got started. So I got a bunch of guys to volunteer. Actually, a bunch of guys and a gal to volunteer. Took it to the board. The board agreed. John, as president, wrote this letter of commitment to him, and then we began all of the NASA paperwork. I mean, you'd think we were actually launching a space vehicle. So we made our first visit to the school. This is the crowd that made the visit. John and Tom, this John here, and this Tom here.
Nothing is being shared.
Sorry, what?
Nothing is being shared.
Yeah, your screen's not shared, Bruce.
It's not?
No.
I mean, I went through all of this
No.
without.
It was
Yeah,
shared
you guys
before.
need to tell me. I can't tell if you can see it or not.
Well, we saw the movie fine, but then it went away.
Yeah, okay. You'd think as long as I've been doing this thing, I would know how to do it, but
There it is.
all right. Now I got to get my view right again. All right, so that's the teacher. That's Alexandra Perry. She's the one that put this whole thing together. This is talking to the, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, this is the letter that John wrote. This is the crowd that got together for the first visit. So KX4QC and KD4CMK did the roof walk to see if we could set up antennas up there. The rest of us were involved in putting together the curriculum. You can see the teacher here, Alex, and then you see they have a science resource teacher. She really goes around and helps with the various science courses. She doesn't teach actively. She does pick up stuff, and she was a lot of help. John and Tom went up on the roof and surveyed where the horizon was, which is pretty good. And they were going to do a feasibility to see if we could do a direct connection. We tried this in 2016, when we did the one at the Science Museum. And I'll show you later, but you have to set up 2 stations. So it's quite a burden to do, but we decided we'd take a look at it. And then we had basically the teaching team that you see here on the right. We also did a review of the sites we might work in. We ended up, we looked at the auditorium and we looked at this multipurpose room. And the multipurpose room looked like it was going to be fine, so that's what we chose. We also took pictures for the ARISS folks to take a look at. We took a look at all the connections for video, that sort of thing. And then we got into the whole COVID separation and masking. And the school has a fairly strong requirement there, but I'll tell you what, NASA was even tougher. I learned in the process that the big push the schools have for having the kids wear masks is not for the kids, it's for the grandparents of the kids. What they're concerned about is the kids will pass it from child to child. They won't have any problem. They'll take it to visit the grandma and grandpa, and they'll give it to grandma and grandpa, which is very dangerous. I didn't realize that's why they had the kids wearing masks all the time. Anyway, NASA, they were going to put 300 people in the room, I think, remember it? And NASA said, no, too many, and so we had to work out the spacing. So we got maybe 150, something like that. Then we had the paperwork. This is only a little bit of what we had to do. You have to do, you have to tell them where you're going to be, how you're going to be set up, who's going to be there. You have, let's see, we had to sign, Mike and I had to sign talent release forms. I bet you didn't know we were talent, but we had to sign talent release forms with NASA because they're recording all this stuff and all that sort of thing. And what's this other thing? Oh, and then they assigned us, you can see on the right, 2 mentors, a ham radio mentor who've been through it a lot and a education mentor for the teachers. Then we got into the direct versus telebridge. Telebridge, basically, we all know as phone patch. So you have to show there's a good horizon in the school. And Tom and John kind of surveyed that, and we were really good. I think we're 10 or 15 degrees above horizon at maximum. Then you have to set up and prove you got a working primary and backup station. And that's a tough job. And that made it even more, and they have to be movable, you take it to school. And that with COVID restrictions and having that sort of thing, that turned out to be impossible. We gave ourselves to October to decide, but it became clear we weren't going to get that done. So we went back to them and said, okay, let's do a telebridge or a phone patch. Then we went through the approval process. We went back and forth. I bet we did the COVID waiver stuff to NASA. Let's send that thing back and forth a half dozen times, maybe more. And the teacher's husband was a lawyer, so he got involved in it and trying to get it all right. We just had a heck of a time getting NASA happy with it. Eventually, we got approval on that, and we got approval that we were, set up to go. So then they sent us. And then we also had to submit lesson plans. They gave us a bunch. I'm not sure how well you can read this screen, but the material source on the right were some of the things that NASA provided or suggested. Orbital mechanics and kinetic and potential energy is a major item, as is trusses. So the teacher took care of that. And the ones I've got marked at the bottom, we did. We were going to do tin cans and a string. Turned out paper cups and a string were a better idea. And that was interesting. You get the kids at either end of a string, and you can teach them attenuation. Have them talk to each other, put their finger on the string. The teacher had a good little what do you call it? Piece slide that showed compression, and then how the compression of the air becomes vibrations on the string, and then gets converted at the other end. Kids could put their finger on it and attenuate it, so we could teach attenuation. They hooked 2 sets together so they can have a party line. And then we made them talk to each other with their eyes closed. And of course, with their eyes closed, they couldn't tell when they had to move the cup from their mouth to the ear. So that's how we taught them to say over, because you have to say over every time when you're talking to the space station. But sometimes the signal is not terribly clear, and that's how they know it to switch time. So we use that to teach them to say over.
Bruce, can you raise your screen so we can see the bottom of the slide?
Sure, I'm sure there's a way to do that.
Go to full screen.
I thought I was at full screen. Yeah, let me back up.
Hey, Bruce, up at the.
How about zoom out? Zoom out.
Bruce, up at the top, it says fit by width. Have it fit by height. top right.
Top right.
There's this box that says fit by width. Change that to fit by height.
Well, I think I pushed.
No,
Oh, there
no,
it is.
yeah.
No, it should be fit by height.
Or fit by page, I guess, in this one.
How's
There
that?
you go.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. You still see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, keep this up. I'll learn the Zoom stuff eventually. All right. So then we did radio communications. We had a bunch of HTs that the club had to give out to people that got their licenses and joined the club. So we took those down there and had them do two-way communications. And that worked fairly well. I think we've got some ways we would do that differently in the future, but we gave them a chance to do two-way radio. The biggest problem we have is I thought these were kids who came from families that weren't very good about handling family stuff because they were kind of wild and unruly. But my daughter, who's a school teacher, said, no, they're sixth graders. That's just the way sixth graders are. She is a high school teacher, and she said that she would take a chance of going to hell before she'd teach middle school. So, you know, so it's apparently a tough crowd to teach. But it's a really involved teachers down there. They really do like these kids. And I think we got to like them after a while too. Anyway,
Bruce,
yes.
I have two questions, John in Q4A.
Right.
First of all, how did Hope Whitwell get selected? Was it initiated by a teacher there?
Yeah.
And number
right.
two, do you think any of these candidates, these students that participated, do you think they stand a chance on getting further into ham radio?
John, I'm glad you volunteered. We're running down that road. I'll tell you some more about it in a second, but I'm glad to hear you volunteer. And I'll make sure that Jim, who's looking at it, Jim Bates, gets a hold of you so we can get that going. Yeah, we're hoping to get that going. Some of the kids showed an interest, and my daughter said, well, you know, at that age, they're enthusiastic and lose interest and they get enthusiastic again. But the teachers indicated they're still interested, so we'll go from there.
On the antenna tracking the space station, was that manned and followed them because they're constantly moving?
Yeah. How
the antenna track them?
Yeah, well, there's a couple pieces of software. The favorite one is called PC32 SAT, I think. That's the one we used in 2016. There's another one out there that you can get pretty easily called GPredict. And both of those will drive a azimuth and elevation rotor and will track the space station. So,
is it based on signal strength?
No, it's based on predicted location. So they basically, these two pieces of software bring in the orbital track of the space station or any ham radio satellite for that matter. And when you crank it up before a connection, you upload the latest Kepler data, and it's the latest information on where the satellites are and the space station are currently moving. And it kind of gets that up to date, and then it uses that to track it with. And on GPredict, which you might want to load on your computer, it's easy to do, you can actually see a ring that is the radio propagation ring. You see that for all of the ham radio satellites. And that's based upon the average output of it and also the shape, how it's going. So you see the ring moving towards the station. And then as the edge of the ring gets there, the station kind of comes in. So, and if you try GPredict, you'll see what I mean.
Comment?
Yes.
I was just going to mention that doing it manually, if you have an iPhone, it's hard to find. You won't find it unless you do a bunch of research, but there's an app out there called SAT, S-A-T, space S-A-T. And I have found that it's pretty good for doing tracking and stuff like that. And it'll predict when it's coming up. You can set parameters on it and whatnot, but you got to be out there holding the Yagi by hand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good for using an arrow or something like that. There's also one called ISS location or something like that. That's the one they were using. They were using it for displaying, and I think they were using PCSat 32 at the ground station, at the Earth station, to actually track it with. But for the screen showing, they showed this other one. Anyway, that's what that's about. The next thing we did was Morse code, which may sound kind of odd, but when we used to do the RVA Maker Fest at the Science Museum, one of the group of hams, the club that used to be there, would bring some code practice oscillators. I don't remember whose idea it was, and some sheets of code on it. And we found that the middle school kids were fascinated by code. And again, talking to my school teacher daughter, that's apparently an age that's really, really interested in codes and ciphers. And I was thinking about that. If you remember the movie Christmas Story, that kind of comes on every year, and the boy gets a decoder ring, was it little Orphan Annie decoder ring? And he finally gets enough Ovaltine box tops to get one. And he gets his decoder ring, and he hears little Orphan Annie. Didn't mean to do that. He hears little Orphan Annie putting down and he writes down the numbers. He goes in the bathroom, closes the door, decodes it, and it says, "Drink your Ovaltine." And he says, "Oh, it's a stinking commercial." Anyway, that's the same age kids that these kids are. So we decided to do Morse code. And to do Morse code, you may have seen that Rob built all of these Morse code centers, right? He designed them, and he designed them, and one of the things that Mike and I saw when we were there was it's a noisy place with those kids. We have 4 classes, about 20 kids each. And it's a noisy place, and we realized, wait a second, code practice oscillators aren't going to work. So he designed them so that it's LEDs only. He's got a couple of them that do have sounders on them with a switch. And he designed the box to put them in. And and then we had this long sheet of paper that had phonetic alphabet and Morse code on it. And so the kids use that, and I'll tell you some more about that later. Now we have a 4th course that we will teach sometime in April, which is going to be satellite work. I think Bill's going to be there with his arrow, and I think Tom and John are going to be there with a tracking beam antenna. And we're going to show the kids what that looks like. One of the things they suggested we try is run the arrow into an SDR receiver and pick up a NOAA satellite and let the kids see it be painting the picture for the NOAA satellite on them. So apparently that's something that's very popular with them. All right, so here's using their 2-way radios. We don't have any of them using the paper cups. Neither we nor the teacher thought to take pictures of that. This is Mike and I helping them with the HTs. We tried to have them tell us fairly precisely where they were, that sort of thing. Then this is the Morse code. Here's you can see on the left the stuff that Rob designed and cut out. But then on the right, we had what I told the kids was the grandfather's assembling. The builders group sat down and actually put them together. Rob had cut them out and got them ready to go. They put them together, tested them, and got them going. And you can see the kids were intent on it. The little girl on the left, you can see, is holding that strip of paper that has the alphabet, the Morse code, and the phonetic alphabet on it. And she's using it to write down how she's going to send messages. And of course, the 2 boys on the right are sending messages to each other. They were fascinated by it. The other thing that we did that worked out well, and I think I would do it again, is somebody found, I don't know who it was, the recreated Titanic messages, when the Titanic began to sink after it hit the iceberg. They've taken the messages and somebody's recreated them in Morse code, and it sounds like Spark code. And so the messages are going out. If you've never watched it, you might want to. All you see is, you hear the sound and you see the message being shown on the screen. And it's very moving because towards the end, basically you see the code dying as the ship is dying. We didn't take it that far with the kids, but the thing that was interesting about it was there was some interesting things to teach. For example, they kept calling Cape Race. Well, there's a geography lessons. The kids had to figure out where Cape Race was. And then the Carpathian, I think, was the one that came to the rescue. On the code, they said they were 200 miles away. So we stopped and said, okay, how long is it going to take them to get there? So the kids had a chance to figure out how long it's going to take to get there. And they realized it was going to be probably 24 hours. So people were going to be in this cold water for 24 hours. And there was one other thing that came up. I don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. They went CQD, which apparently was CQ distress. And they started using SOS. And SOS had been talked about. And the objection to CQD is, you don't know whether somebody's saying CQ, 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 and you didn't hear the D. Where with SOS, it was completely separate. CQ distress, SOS was completely separate. So it was not hard. It was, you didn't mess up with it. There were a couple of other things in there. Oh, in the code, we got into a little English lesson. Why is E the shortest one? And we had a diagram of all the code, and which is single items, which are double items, so forth. And E is the most heavily used letter in the alphabet, so you want the shortest thing. So we got into a little bit of structure of language. So there's a lot of stuff besides radio and science that kids can get out of this. So anyway, that's the teaching. Then they sent a list of probable dates and had the teacher put those in, which ones they preferred. And she got choice number 1. The other thing that happened, Carter G. Woodson, I've never heard of Carter G. Woodson. Well, it turns out Carter G. Woodson was a Black historian who did, turn of the century, fairly well esteemed. He was one of the first people to start with what he called Negro history, and putting that together and collecting the history of people, that sort of thing, and was largely responsible for what became Black History Month. Well, it occurred to the folks either at NASA or ERIS, I don't know which, wait a second, this is Black History Month, and this is a school named after one of the most famous Black historians. We ought to try and do it this month. So you can see they slipped us in on the 28th. They made sure they got us in Black History Month. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, those were the dates, and we did the 28th. And so we started off that morning with T minus 45 minutes, and we finally got to T-0, and we got liftoff. So that's what you heard in the video. Any questions?
Bruce, I guess getting picked is kind of like winning the
Is
lottery.
it almost over?
Am I almost over?
Is this meeting almost over?
Yeah, not too far, I think. But you can hang up anytime you want. I mean,
That's Zaire. He's one of my Boy Scouts.
Oh, okay.
And he got the radio merit badge in one of the camp raids, so I told him about this.
Oh, good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Applications for the 10 slots, did you know?
There are usually 10 slots per season. It's a fall season and a summer season. So this is one of the 10.
How many applications for those 10 slots?
Oh, I don't know. I think there are usually usually 40 or 50 of them. So you have to make a case for why yours should be. I think the teacher initiating it the way she did probably made a big difference. So anyway, let's get back here to the rest of the crowd.
Bruce?
Yes.
have you all made the teacher aware and to have her possibly show the students what all had to take place in order to do this, to show how much effort y'all had put into this?
I think they know. They saw a lot of us, and they saw us bring stuff in. So I think that the teachers and the students are aware of it. The teachers are really happy. I mean, I was, they were really dug in, it seemed to me. Mike and I probably spent more time with them than anybody else, and they were involved. And the principal was involved all the way up down the line. They kind of knew what we were doing because we had to plan it out with them. So they're very, very much aware of it. And I'd like to see us do this with other schools. I mean, I think we've kind of figured out. I think we would change how we use the HTs, but I think we'd still do it. Those four classes seem to be the important ones to do. And they're specific to ham radio. The teacher could do the other stuff. Teacher could do orbital mechanics, that sort of thing. We don't need to do that. But, and it's a lot of fun. And we could probably handle one a year. I think we got enough volunteers in the club to do that stuff. But it took about 6 or 8 of us to pull this off. I mean, this isn't a one-person deal. So. Any other questions?
The teacher down there, she actually initiated this project.
Yes, she was the first year teaching. She'd gone to a conference and heard about it. So she checked with them and found out that, yeah, you could put an application in, but you got to have a ham radio construct with it. And even if it's done as we did it with phone patch, they still want hands involved to help them both in the teaching, but also to help them kind of sort through that technical stuff. So you're going to have a ham radio group involved in any case.
Job well done.
Thanks. It was. I appreciate all the club members that got involved in this and the support of the club. It was a fun job.
I'm sure there were some real wide eyes when that person in the space station replied to them.
Yeah. But you know, we had rehearsed them so many times that I think they were kind of automatic. The one that was funny was when the young boy who got told how to calculate how many miles the space station went in a day. I mean, that was kind of like, and he just kind of like, oh. And that was such a notable thing. There's a newspaper article that was written on it. They had a reporter there, and that was one of the things he pointed out was the kid rolled his eyes, put his hands up. You know, I asked a question, and now I get a math assignment.
Math will take the fun out of anything.
Well,
That's true. That's true.
No, they'll get into it and have some fun with it. The teacher actually liked the Morse code thing, went over so well. Kids liked it so much. She gave them some assignments in which they were asked questions, and they had but the question was in Morse code. So they had to interpret the Morse code to answer the question. So she used that in some later classes. So, you know, a lot of stuff like that going on we didn't expect. It just kind of happened. The other thing, it's going to be Sarah Bloom from Channel 12 came down and interviewed some of the kids, and also is picking some of the video off the YouTube. I had to go through get her permission to use the ARISS stuff to broadcast it. And saw a note from her the other day saying, you know, she's kind of like up to here. If you can imagine being a news person and having the Iraq war going on, the school burned down, all the politics in the legislature, this ain't going to run for a while. But she said she's got the information together and she's going to run the show on Channel 12 at some point. So
will she let you
I'm
know?
sure we all applaud you. Job well done. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It's
And
really
thank-
amazing, Bruce. How many
Thank you.
hours can
Thank all of
you
who
can
volunteered.
that and put it in a jar and transfer it to another school? Will it take as much time to do it at the next school? I mean, how do you have some lessons learned that'll help you for next time?
Well, I mean, Rob is not going to have to reinvent the code thing. You know, it's, we got that down. Paper cups and string are easy to buy. So I think we got to figure it out. I think the only big thing I can think of, the two big things I can think of. One is we need to figure out a better way of doing the HT thing. And you and I have a chance to talk about it once, but we got to find a better way of making that work. The other thing is I'd like us to be knowing we're going to do enough of them so we really can have our own earth station instead of using phone patch. Yeah, but it takes 2 stations. So you got to have the tracking antenna, you got to have the radio, you got to have at least, if not a second tracking antenna, some other kind of or VHF antenna that can pick up the space station, a second radio, you know, a lot of stuff to do along those lines. You got to get so you're experienced at it. And we're just not used to doing that. The Williamsburg Club does it, but they got a bunch of guys down there that they work for the government and they do satellite stuff. So they got that stuff around the house to play with. We just don't do that around here. So we just don't have the experience to kind of get that going. So
What about another kind of project that wouldn't be as complicated by the space station, but would engage children in learning about radio work?
Yeah, you could do fox chase. We haven't
Yes.
done that yet. That would be, they'd love that. It's kind of like geolocating and ham radio. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I do know that with that age group, getting them out of the building means they go wild outside. So the problem is to work out with the teacher how to do a fox hunt and not have everything go wild as soon as you take them outside. So that's got to be worked out. But yeah, I thought about that one. I thought about just doing what we did with the HTs, getting them, you know, going from the paper cups to using HTs and talking to each other, that sort of thing. There's other stuff we can do along those lines. Any other questions or comments? All right, John, I guess I say W4B.
Okay, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. That's, again, we all appreciate everything that you did and all of what the volunteers did too. So great job.
Thank you, Bruce.
Looking forward to programs like this in the future. I think this is the outreach of the club to schools is an important thing. That's something we should be concentrating.
Somebody asked about the, you know, John asked about the class. We're looking to put on something where this Hopewell is a year-round school, which means they have these little 2 and 3 and 4 week breaks. And we're hoping some hands other than me, I think I've done enough for the moment, will go down there and use the Boy Scout radio merit badge is basically designed for middle schoolers. That's that age group. And there's a version of the Boy Scout radio merit badge that includes getting your ham ticket. So using that as a curriculum, getting a bunch of folks to go down there and teach them, basically have a radio camp or something during one of these breaks in school. So I think the teacher's open to it. We just got to find some hands to work on it. Hey, Bill, I see you or Judy with a hand up.
That's me. I was kind of wondering, I had relatives on the Titanic, Isidore and Ida Strauss, and I was wondering if you had a copy of what the CW was back then, because you had said something about the kids translating it, and I don't know CW, but I'd just be curious if you had that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. The problem is in the middle of me, I can't remember what to write it down, but send me a note, Judy, w4bru@arl.net, and I'll bring it up. I'll send it to you because I've got it documented. It's a YouTube video, and it's you know, very interesting to watch. Oh, we also used a video of the Three Stooges with Morse code. That was to give the kids a laugh at the end.
Okay, I'll definitely send it. Oh, and I have a comment that the devil invented algebra You know, it wasn't bad enough with a bunch of numbers, but let's throw some letters in there. Yeah, that's just an opinion.
Okay.
Johnny Ray.
Well, you know,
First, you were
when,
mentioning about the little off in Annie's Dakota. There it is.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, there you
Oh.
go.
And Captain Midnight had one too. Here's his.
Okay.
Wow, cool.
So did Tom Mix. I had the Tom Mix printing thing in the tin.
Well, I have a Mickey Mouse watch.
All right.
Hey,
Okay, well, thanks everybody for attending tonight, and we appreciate all the reports and everything. And I look forward to seeing you all, hopefully.
Hey,
at the,
John, can
the,
you throw it over to me or somebody so we can keep it open for a little bit longer?